Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Big A's Backyard Bistro. Today I'm going to be cooking for y'all some steak and potatoes. It's two of my favorite things to eat. We got some New York strips, and I've got some potatoes that I've got cut up. I also got some zucchini we're going to throw on there, and we got some fresh corn that's going inside we're going to pair with this meal as well. But let's take a look at our ingredients. All right. So we've got two New York strips here. These are about an inch and a quarter thick, about 14 ounces a piece, I believe. And what I've done is I've coated these in that Montreal steak seasoning that I've used on earlier episodes. But got a real good coat on there. You want to get a crust. That's one of the benefits of doing steak on the Blackstone or even a cast iron skillet. You get a really good crust on there. Another tip for cooking steaks, this is no matter how you're going to cook them, these have been sitting out for about 30 to 40 minutes, coming up to room temperature. You want to do that before you cook a steak. That way you don't have a cold inside when you're finished cooking it. So a little tip for you there. Also got some zucchini slices there that I'm just going to throw on real quick at the end. And got some butter. It's another key for getting a good crust, a good sear on a steak. Let's put butter on there. All right, we've also got our potatoes here. And these are russet potatoes. Red potatoes would work great too. This is just what I had on hand. A tip for potatoes to get them extra crispy is you're going to want to soak them in some cold water for about a half hour. And what that does is that's going to pull the starch out of there. And then after you drain the water off and pat them dry with a paper towel, it's going to leave you a nice crispy potato on the outside when you cook it, and tender fluffy on the inside. I've put some canola oil on here, and I put some of the Big A's rub on there, which is, again, salt, pepper, and garlic. All right, let's get grilling. All right, so I've had my grill preheating here on about medium-high for about 10 minutes now. So I'm going to go ahead and throw some oil down. I'm cooking on a little bit of an incline here today, so shouldn't be an issue though. If I had one of the newer model Blackstones with the grease trap in the back, it would work out really well. But mine's on the front. I've got an old model. We'll put the potatoes down first. They're what's going to take the longest to cook in this meal. So I'm just going to throw those right on there. And you're just going to spread those out. You want to get them close to a single layer as you can. At least to start with. You can get contact with the griddle. That's what's going to give them that nice crispiness. And these are going to take, I would say about 10-12 minutes altogether. What I'm going to do after I let them sit here a few minutes, I'm going to cover them with my fancy Dollar Tree lasagna pan here. Blackstone makes a really nice cover, a big one, a rectangle one like this, but it's like 40 bucks. These are two for $1, so it really accomplishes the same thing. I might fix me some kind of handle for it someday, but not today. So what I'm gonna do though, I'm gonna pile them together. I'm gonna steam them in a little bit of water and just cover them for most of the cook. That way they'll cook all the way through on the inside because you don't want raw potatoes. So again, these have already been seasoned. They got oil on them. So I'm just going to let those sit a minute and then just toss them around, and I'm going to slide them to the side, and then we'll get our steaks on. So I've been stirring them around a little bit. You can already tell starting to get some of that nice color on there. and crisp up a little bit on the outside, but of course they're not done on the inside, nowhere near it yet. So I'm gonna slide them over. So I'm gonna put a little more oil on this side of the grill. Slide these over here. I'm actually gonna hit it with a little bit of butter before I put that dome on as well. I'm just gonna put a little pat of butter there. Get some steam. Cover them just like that. And I'll let those go probably 4 or 5 minutes. And I'll toss them again. Do the same thing, another 4 or 5 minutes. And those should be good to go. All right, so it's been about 4 minutes there on these potatoes. See what we got here. Oh yeah. Get some of that good dark brown color. Looking really good. Smells good too. Like French fries. Cool. All right, so I'm gonna put those back under here. Hit it with a little more butter. Put that lid back on it. Hit it with a little water into it. Get that good steam action going. All right, so again, those are probably 5-6 minutes out. It's time now to go ahead and do our steaks. So for a good, I shoot for medium rare. For a good medium rare-ish, you're looking at, depending on the thickness of the steaks, but for these, you're looking at about maybe 4 minutes a side, something like that. And then a little bit of a rest period, which we'll talk about when we get there. But I'll go ahead and start us off with, of course, some oil. The steaks don't have any oil on them, by the way. They were patted dry and then that rub was pressed down. That's what's gonna give you a good sear. And I'm gonna put some butter down. Just let that all melt. Right where I'm gonna put those steaks. Oh boy. Oh boy, this is gonna be so good. Let gravity do its work. All right, let's get them down. Love that sizzle. And what it's doing is just developing that really nice crust on the outside. Remember, I set these out about 40 minutes ago, so they're up to room temperature or pretty close to it. Should be a nice even cook when you get it off. And you're just gonna let those sit. You don't have to flip them a lot. That's gonna mess up your crust if you flip it too much. Take a look at our Take a look at our potatoes here. Oh yeah. Looking really nice. To borrow a phrase from Cousin Eddie. All right, so it's been about 3 minutes on these steaks. Let's give them a flip and see what we're working with here. Oh yeah. Look at that crust. And this recipe would work, of course, for any steak. Fillets, ribeyes, sirloins, whatever you got. I would just recommend a thicker steak. I think they're a lot more forgiving, easy to cook. New York strip's one of my favorites personally. I think it's a good mixture of fat and flavor and the leanness of the rest of the steak. You just got your main fat on a New York strip, by the way, is just around the outsides there. It's not really marbled throughout as much like a ribeye would be. So you're still getting the flavor from that fat. But if you want to trim it off, you know, some people like to eat the fat, some people don't. If you want to trim it off, it's pretty easy to do with the strip. But I definitely would recommend trimming it off after you cook it if you're going to do that. Because you want it to cook with that fat on there. That's where your flavor comes from. Let's get these potatoes off of here. They got some really good color. There might be a few that I would say are burnt, but I like a good crispy dark potato like that, so not a problem at all. So those look great. I think the steaks are probably pretty close. Been about 4 minutes aside. This one is a little thicker here. I'm going to leave this one on another minute. I'm going to go ahead and take this one off. Cover this steak up too, just to kind of finish it up, just for another minute. But again, you're going to let those steaks rest for at least 5 minutes. Let those juices soak back in. I'm actually going to put a little sliver of butter on there too while it melts, or while it rests. And let that sort of go. I had to sample one of those potatoes while they were super hot. It's like a hand-cut French fry, it really is. Reminds me of sort of a Five Guys French fry. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Get that bad boy off. And again, you can cook these, of course, to your desired temperature. We'll throw those zucchini on there real quick. I think I've got plenty of grease and fat down there, so I'm just going to put them right on there. A little bit of butter. And these don't have anything on them at this point. I literally just cut them up, put them in a bowl. And then with a little bit of oil, a little bit of the AP, Big A's AP rub. And I got a little bit of soy too, a little bit of soy sauce. So. Just to do something a little different. And so I'm cooking it right where I cook those steaks. Just gonna pick up some of that nice meaty flavor. And that fat left off the steak. It's gonna be really good. Again, these cook quickly. You don't want to get them mushy, so I'm really just gonna hit them for just a minute or two. While I'm using it, heck, throw that on there. That butter has melted over those steaks. Whew. Check it out. Man, that's some nice. Nice color on those potatoes. Smells great. All right, so I'm gonna get this plated up on my handy Blackstone cutting board display table, and we'll do a little bit of taste test. All right, guys, so here's our finished product. You want to take a look at that. Looks really good. I'm gonna cut this steak up here. Just get a sample of it. Let's see. Got one of those right there. That great crust to it. That butter. It's that richness. Got some good kick too from that Montreal steak season. Black pepper. Very good. Tender, juicy. Try a couple of potatoes here. I sampled those earlier, so I knew that was gonna be good. But just the right amount of seasoning on those potatoes. Some people might want to dip them in ketchup or something, but I don't think they need it. I think they're great. And let's try one of these zucchini. A couple of them. Well, didn't cook them too long. Still got a good crunch to them. They picked up that flavor from the meat. Got the soy sauce. Bam. Well, that turned out great. Try it sometime. It's a different way to do steaks. I still love them on the grill as well, but something a little different. Just showing you some how versatile the Blackstone griddle is. All right, hope you guys are doing well, staying safe. Have a great week, and we'll catch you next time on Big A's Backyard Bistro.